All right. And 1, 2, 3, we're live. Hello, Facebook family. How are you doing? This is Renee and Glenn with Hard Work Leadership with Healthy Things Grow. Are you getting bounced back from my voice?
No.
No? Okay. With Healthy Things Grow. Thank you again for joining us this Tuesday at 6:30 for another talk about how we can live well to lead well. In tonight's episode, we're going to talk about gratitude and how gratitude causes us to show up and essentially show out in whatever we do.
Yep.
Thriving, yeah, thriving, not just surviving, not just existing, but thriving. And one of the things that I thought about, Glenn, when we talked about, doing this yesterday was that, when we talk about gratitude, it's what we're saying and being grateful for what's in the universe. And Glenn and I are not talking about being grateful for the things that you can see, the things you can touch, the tangible things, the things that you should obviously be grateful for. The people in front of you, the house over your head. We're talking about the gratitude that is in your heart, the I am gratitude, the gratitude that says that because I am, I can be. And because I am, I can give, I can share, I can care. And because I essentially believe in myself and I am grateful for who I am, I can help others to be the best them that they can be. So just showing up and being all that we can and being the best selves that we can be and at whatever capacity that is required of us at the time. So just being present, how gratitude just causes us to be just amazing people. And one of the things I want to start off before we start talking to Glenn more about gratitude, one of the things I want to talk about is in Glenn's book, Heart Work, in Glenn's book, Heart Work, one of the things that he said that I thought was so profound, and I always, before I read this in Heart Work, I realized that just on this chapter of Heart of Gratitude, but before I read this particular piece, because it's at the end of the chapter, I thought about the fact that I have spent essentially most of my life worrying about things that I can't control. So when I worry and I have despair and I push myself into a dark hole, there's no way that I could be grateful for what I have because I'm worrying about what I don't have. Okay. And so one of the things that Glenn said was that gratitude can't exist with the despair or anger or even sadness. It exists on its own by itself because when we live in a place of gratitude, our souls are full. Our souls are full. That in itself meant so much to me. It was just a life-changing, transforming statement because when your soul is full, when you are full of just the blessings of even the blessing of not knowing what the future holds, but having faith that it's going to be great, that his plans for you are greatness, that in itself is enough to be grateful for the things seen and unseen. So Glenn, our entire platform, our entire framework is built on gratitude, purpose, and love. And gratitude, what is it? Because we've talked about gratitude before. Tell me, what is it in your life that transformed you, that helped you to see just where gratitude or what level of gratitude we should have to make us show up as full and complete people, and no matter what situation we're in?
Yeah. So I think that we all get to a place of grateful living in our
Mm-hmm.
own time. And so for me, though, I think it was a very slow and deliberate process around understanding just how powerful gratitude really is. And what I mean by that is that I've always felt good when I was able to serve others, but I've also always felt good even in my lowest moments because I always just had a sense that whatever I thought I was lacking,
Mm-hmm.
I know that there's somebody that has less.
Mm-hmm.
And and because of that, not because of their suffrage that I'm grateful, but because of my fullness, I am
Mm,
grateful. I mean, fullness in the sense of I have all that I need, not
mm,
all that I necessarily want.
right.
And and over years and years and years of just again, this is a deliberate process though. You have to be present and consciously engage in this mindfulness of what you are grateful for, how your life is unfolding even in the lowest moments that you are still full. What I realized was that the power of gratitude was literally moving me in even through my lowest moments.
Mm-hmm.
So it was the only thing that could move me.
Mm,
It's literally in your lowest moment, there are plenty of things that you can literally be grateful for. And if you choose great gratitude and being grateful as opposed to choosing the low moment, the suffrage,
mm-hmm.
then you find yourself in a big predicament. The
Right.
predicament is it ain't that bad.
It ain't
um,
that bad.
and it's like, man, I want it to be how it feels.
Right.
But if I choose gratitude, then it's not. And and for me, when I realized the power of that choice,
Mm-hmm.
just wake up, start every day. My sign, when I bought this sign, you can see it now. I bought that sign a while back, start every day with the grateful heart. When I saw that sign, I had to have it
Mm-hmm.
because it embodied the choice.
Right.
If you literally start every single day with affirmations of gratitude, a grateful heart, it's nearly
Right.
impossible. I mean, nearly impossible to have just a fully jacked up day.
Mm-hmm.
Like some
You're
stuff
right.
may be messed up, some bad stuff may happen, but
Mm-hmm.
the entirety of the day just can't be fully jacked up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the reason why is because if you are able to affirm what you're grateful for,
Mm-hmm.
that means that you're breathing.
Oh
And
yeah.
if you're breathing, your day could not be fully jacked up because you are alive. and so
Right.
and and so it can be that simple yet that complex that that when we talk about showing up and people showing up in organizations and why it's so important that we focus on how people show up is
Mm-hmm.
because if you do something if you start your day with something as small and simple yet powerful as gratitude, it will change not only the person how they show up, but it will change the collective environment and how people show up, whether it be in the household or in the boardroom.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think that too, when people, I'm just thinking about the last couple of months, just even in us making our decision, when I think it's difficult in transition, especially if it's something that we are definitely looking forward to, like we'll say, oh, I can't wait until this happens. And I have been conscious in saying, thank God though, for where I am, because had it not been for where I am, I wouldn't be able to move forward. So it makes the journey all that sweeter. So yeah, just being able to in any situation say, you know what, it could be worse. Not only can it be worse, what's going on here? It could be worse, but not only could it be worse, but it could also be, I could be in a situation where I didn't wake up this morning. And so every chance and every breath I take, I have opportunity to move forward. So I always say, thank you, God, for where I am. Even and then when we have this gratitude like that you're talking about, like this gratitude, being able to walk into a situation and say, I'm grateful that I showed up, and because I'm grateful that I showed up, I now bring or step forward being the best person that I can be, and give that to the people who are around me. It's about mindset. It's about the choice of, I can either live in what didn't or could have been, or I can live in the place where I am, receive it, accept it, and be gracious for whatever it or gives me in the future and what it's
Yeah, I
given
mean,
to me.
yeah, I mean, our definition of extreme gratitude is absent of comparisons, full of appreciation and joy in what is present
Right.
and possible. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's what's present and possible, and
Right.
it's understanding that it's something very simple. I it's so simple that it's funny. It's kind of laughable because when we know that we have conversations and dialogue around, what's going on with my life. I want to accomplish X. I want to do Y. I want to have this type of relationship. I want to achieve this. I want to experience that. And it literally starts with how you start your day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the saying, the famous saying is said in all types of form of leadership, um, quotes and yoga, you know, wherever your, energy flows, your focus, or wherever your focus
Mm-hmm.
goes, your energy flows, or uh,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So whatever you're focusing on, your energy is coming right behind it, right? So if we
Mm-hmm.
start our day with gratitude, it's impossible for your energy not to flow there. It's
Right.
impossible for you not to literally recognize that whatever happens next is minuscule to what just happened before, which
Mm-hmm.
was
Yes.
which which was your affirmation of life, your affirmation of an opportunity, your affirmation of what's in front of you. You know, you know, people say, well, can you be grateful for everything? Well, no, you're not going to be grateful for everything. You're not supposed to be grateful for everything. There's some things that you're not going to be grateful for, but there are plenty things for you to be grateful for, meaning that even in suffrage, there's opportunity for gratitude, even if it's not the specific state of that suffrage, meaning someone passes away. You're not grateful that they died, but
Right.
you would definitely be grateful that you were blessed with
Your life.
their presence, with their life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And and
Mm-hmm.
so and so what does it mean to be able to have gratitude in your life, to be able to show up in a state of
Mm-hmm.
gratitude, in a state of grateful living? What it means is that you have the power to do all things that you were created to do without
Mm-hmm.
fear or hesitation, because once again, nothing else can exist when your heart is rooted in gratitude. When your soul is full of gratitude, like nothing can exist. When you want to get angry with somebody,
Mm-hmm.
I went to be angry last night. I went to yoga and I came back. I was like, I can't even be mad. I can't even be mad.
I,
Right? Like I just can't. Like I want to be, but I can't. my
But you
sin. I'm
can't
so
do
centered. I'm so grateful. Like I can't be mad, right? It
right,
can't exist. So
right.
choose gratitude or choose the other, but be accountable that you understand that it was a choice.
Exactly. And one of the things, and I'm sure that, later on in our discussion, you're gonna talk about like how we get to a place of gratitude. But even when we're talking about in the suffrage, I had a friend that said to me a year ago, let's just say, that when that she just felt like she had wasted her time in some. I said, I just don't feel like anything is a waste of time. Be it a job, a relationship, it doesn't matter. I think that we can always look at something and be grateful for whatever lesson is taught or whatever happened in the midst of it. Maybe it didn't feel good, but what happened in that situation that you can be grateful for? And this is just, then we had this real big theoretical conversation about, how every situation has value in our life. It doesn't have to teach us something bad, but it could have definitely teach us something about ourselves. And it was a very good discussion, because at the end of it, it really just, it really gave us an insight on, how nothing is should be thrown out. Nothing, like even a bad evaluation, that we should always be grateful for the feedback. It doesn't even matter how the feedback came to us, even if it's bad feedback. I mean, even if it came to us in a mean or degrading way, it still is going to teach us something about ourselves. There is still a valuable lesson to learn, and we should be grateful about those experiences. But I think that more than anything, Glenn, it gets very difficult for people to understand. I see Jamila just said, that's a tough one, to just be grateful even when life is falling apart around us. How do we get, Glenn, to a place? What are some steps that we can take as, as being human beings? Like, we're just human. Like, it's very difficult to not see things when we're hurting as suffering, and not as a place where we should be in gratitude. So how do we get to a place of, I'm going to learn that I could be grateful for this situation because it does add value to my life?
Look, I think a couple of things are very, very real. And look, and this is a grown up conversation. Let's just be honest
Mm-hmm.
about what we're saying
Right.
here. Listen, we have to understand that life is full of suffrage. Like I heard something recently. I heard something on this motivational video where the guy basically said, "Listen, life is in two phases. Life is recovery and discovery."
Wow.
Um, listen,
I
that's
love that.
powerful. But basically what he's saying is life is suffrage and damn and inspiration. Like it's both.
Yes.
It's not if or it's and it's
Right.
it's
Right.
we must understand that life is suffrage. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And the way in the places that we go left or go wrong and go veer off course is when we
Mm-hmm.
start getting so big on ourselves
Mm-hmm.
and we start equating joy, life,
Mm-hmm.
success,
Mm-hmm.
all these things, or living and success, all these things that we want to touch and feel and have. When
Mm-hmm.
we start putting those things above the actual recovery and discovery of life,
Mm-hmm.
that's when it's difficult for us to grab a hold of gratitude,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because gratitude is not transactional.
Mm-hmm.
Gratitude doesn't live in your wins and your losses. Gratitude doesn't live in your seven figures or your no figures. gratitude exists in your spirit such that
Mm.
you have affirmed that you appreciate what actually you cannot touch, have, hold,
Preach,
deposit, right? Like it's
preach.
it's it's of the essence of you. And until you can grab a hold of what is of the essence of you, you can't
Mm-hmm.
appreciate and you can't activate real
Mm-hmm.
gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
So when we go a little bit deeper,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm no psychologist and I'm not a therapist, I'm not playing one, I haven't stayed at a Holiday Inn. But what we can discern from some instances of where people have struggled, some to
Mm-hmm.
the extent of fatally,
Mm-hmm.
they struggle in this space of not being able to grab a hold of gratitude because they're so deeply entrenched in the
Mm-hmm.
worldly effects
Mm-hmm.
of whatever they have defined as living.
Yes.
What,
Yes.
what,
Amen.
what, we, what we find is that well, that's this place where we struggle the most to
Mm.
understand fully why gratitude is the power that is above all things that you can hold, touch, feel, spend. It's 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 releasing. It it it
Mm-hmm.
it releases you from this fictitious identity that we've created.
Mm-hmm.
And if anybody's listening that struggles with this process of literally activating gratitude as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to activating selfishness, activating more, activating I need, all
Mm-hmm.
the things about the selfish stuff that has nothing to do with living a life of joy.
Mm.
If you're struggling, ask yourself, why are you struggling? Why
Mm.
is it difficult for you to start every day with a grateful heart? Why is it difficult for you to forgive? Why is it difficult for you to love those who don't love you back? Why is it so difficult to activate the emotions, the feelings
Mm.
that
Mm-hmm.
will actually set you free, yet you will rather activate the fictitious made up world that keeps you in bondage?
Oh, and that's the word I was thinking about the whole time you've been talking is, when we're not in gratitude, we're in bondage. Like
Yeah.
when we're not in gratitude, we are in bondage. One of the things in your Plan B sucks, and you talked about life is not a dress rehearsal. You were talking about the diagnosis that you thought you were going to get or whatever in the book. I'm not going to go in detail. Y'all want to know? You're going to have to read the book. So, but then Glenn was talking about the gratitude of the being grateful for notice. And that to me, the gratefulness of notice. And that to me was most powerful. And I'm not judging anybody's way of receiving, bad news at all. But it was your perspective on receiving or the possibility of receiving bad news about a possible death sentence that you said you were grateful for notice. There are so many people who don't get or aren't privileged enough to get notice. They just don't wake up one morning. And I thought that made me feel grateful every morning that I wake up because for some reason I think that some of us believe that we take for granted the power in living, the power in how we live, like the power in living every day as if it is our last, because we don't all get the privilege of notice.
Definitely. I think
Oh yeah,
that
grief. She was. Grief,
Yeah, I
yeah.
see Jamila just chimed in. Definitely, I think what she's talking about grief. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a difficult space for most of us.
Oh, that is, yeah.
I mean, I actively, I'm going through my own process with people who are living now, who I know are up in age, processing for myself right now. Before, I get calls from certain family members, and I literally pause because I don't know if this is a call that's going to say that somebody's not here anymore, right?
Right, right.
And so I'm processing and preparing and thinking about the things that I'm grateful for, literally, because I know it can happen any day.
Yeah, like
And so
you don't know.
you don't know. And so, but I think to the point of the privilege of notice is that I don't know the percentage, but I'm pretty sure most of us don't have notice.
Mm-hmm.
Or we don't have the notice that we would like. I don't
Mm-hmm.
even know if most of us want notice.
Right, exactly.
Um,
That's
but
true.
what I will say is that what it says to me is that we need to act as if we will never have notice.
Exactly.
And
That's what I received from that. Yes.
and that means, again, if you want to live a life that is free, and not, and I say free, but it's not fully free. It's that fear is not binding you to to
Right.
not move. If anxiety is not binding you to not move, if all these things, the things that really maybe hold you back, if they're not holding you back to the point to where you can't move, if you want to live that life, listen, the first
Mhm.
step in that life is to say thank you for this day.
Thank you, Lord. Yes.
I
Thank you for
think
waking me up. Thank you for giving me breath in my body. Thank you for
it's that
the
simple.
right. It's just, just
It's
the
that
thank you.
simple.
That whole
Because
chapter touched me.
yeah, and look, I know people are like, well, it's not that, you got people losing houses and jobs and this and that and family members, and I get it. We're not saying gratitude eradicates all the bad stuff in life. We're not
No.
saying gratitude eradicates the suffrage of life. What we're saying is gratitude puts the suffrage of life in perspective.
Yes. Yes.
Gratitude says that though you will suffer, you are
Mm-hmm.
grateful. And
So you
being
was
grateful and and exhibiting a life that you are living in gratitude, grateful living,
mm,
meaning the action piece of it, are
right.
two different things.
Right.
So gratitude is one thing. I'm grateful that I have money. Grateful living is I have money that I'm going to share.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yes.
Gratitude is I'm grateful that my house is paid for. Grateful living is saying I'm not going to walk past a person without shelter and not act on it.
Right.
Look, grateful living is a greater responsibility. And but before you can get the grateful living, you have to at least start with the grateful heart. And
Right.
so I am all for people going through their own process, because that's
Mm-hmm.
our journeys are our journeys. But what I
Mm-hmm.
will say is that we make things, when I talk about suffrage, the suffrage that exists without you,
Mm-hmm.
and the suffrage that exists greater with you.
Right.
Meaning we contribute a heck of a lot to our
To
own
our
suffrage,
oh, please. Yes.
right?
Oh my. Oh
Right.
my. Oh
So
my. Oh my.
so
Pastor, look, Pastor Thomas, don't do that to us now.
so
But
like,
it's the truth. It's the truth.
if you were careless with your credit and your money and you didn't, and then you wonder why the banks are charging you high interest, that's you. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna raise my hand, like I
Yeah.
right.
Like it's the truth. Like
It's
if you drink and smoke drugs or and you are worried about your health, then I mean, that's we created that life. That's the life we created. You know, it's a lot of people that suffer that's living right lives and doing right things. But I get what you're saying. Like, yeah, like suffering is a lot of the suffering we impose on ourselves. Yeah, definitely.
So I want to I want to connect it back to the folks who are in leadership roles, who are in businesses and organizations, and they say that they believe that people come first, and they say that and all that good stuff. But look, if you aren't focusing on how people are showing up, then you're not winning.
Right.
Like you're not winning. So if a part of your routine is not to understand how your team or your leaders are showing up in the workplace,
Mm-hmm.
meaning what is their wellness look like, what does their psychological wellness look like,
Mm-hmm.
what's happening in their lives that is either really lifting them or really draining them.
Mm-hmm.
If you're unable to really see that process for you as a leader to take like in action, then you're not winning. And if you're not winning, that means that nobody's winning, right?
Right.
Because they're following your lead. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's important that we not dismiss the power of people starting their day off in gratitude, but more importantly, exhibiting grateful living.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they are able to exhibit grateful living, then
Mm-hmm.
what that means is that they're showing up as their best selves. And if they're showing up as their best selves, then you can do all that you need to do as a leader to influence, inspire, and empower them to be their best selves for your company, for your customers, for your clients.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very simple and logical existence. It's
Right.
not hard to really
And
understand.
and I need you to stress though, Glenn, too, that this is not a transactional process. You know, we talk about this all the time. No, it is just the benefit of living a grateful life so that the people that look to you for leadership, that those people are also living a grateful life, that they are also, and therefore can be a blessing to the people that you serve. So you serve your people serve others. So it's not transactional, it's actually a process of being intentional and how you live on purpose. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, there are some things that happen. There are many things that happen in organizations that are transactional. This
Mm-hmm.
isn't one of them.
Mm-mm.
Transactional leadership is not a bad thing, actually, but it is a very awkward thing if you're trying to enact transactional leadership with people.
Right.
And
Right.
so, we study in theory in types of leadership styles, transactional leadership or transformational leadership. And the reality of it is that I think what happens for leaders is we get them all muddled in together, and we
Right.
start figuring out that they can one way of leading can work for everything. That's
Mm-hmm.
not the case.
Mm-mm.
Transactional leadership is saying, "Hey, we have a report due by Friday.
Mm-hmm.
I'm asking you for something. In return, I need something from you.
Right.
I need the report."
Right.
Right? That's fine. I get it.
Uh-huh.
Um, but if you're struggling, I see that you've been coming in late and you've been really sad and you haven't been looking your normal self. And I
Mm-hmm.
say to you, hey, I need you to get happier. I don't feel too good.
No, it does.
like,
I need you to get happier.
like what? Nah, so the that there is not that's where transactional leadership does not work.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
I just need you to I need you to figure it out. Man,
So
feelings.
Yeah, let me see. So here's Jamila. Jamila says, "Listen, I wonder how we can get leaders out of the transactional style leadership because it seems to be the style most people." Yeah, you're right.
Right.
It does.
But that's a heart, Jamila, that's a good one. That's a heart problem. Like that's where we probably need to be working on where our hearts are. That's something that is learned, I believe. And when we don't, it's just kind of like punitive leadership. It's almost like people who always tend to use or to utilize transactional leadership. I think they just need to see that grateful leadership and servant leadership does work, that it is actually more effective. Somehow, I think that some of that leaders maybe haven't seen that has been effective, or haven't seen that it has been used in an effective way. And so, yeah, it's just a showing and demonstration of, guess what? Grateful leadership, servant leadership works. It does. It works. It's powerful. It's a powerful tool because guess what? You don't have to convince people when you are a servant leader. You don't have to convince people to want to do and be present or be themselves, because when you live and work in gratitude and you thank people consistently for who they are, and you tell them that they can be authentic in who they are and show up for who they are, and you thank them for being that, you don't have to convince them at all. It just manifests on its own. It's not anything, it's not a trick to it at all. It's just you treat people like human beings and you allow them to be, and then they show up every day authentic, and they're grateful that they're working within that place. I have a leader like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think
I have a leader like that.
I
show up.
Ain't always been that way either. And I think, listen, and Jamila, I'll tell you this too. Like, I used to be the biggest transactional leader, right? Because transactional leadership is, there's a couple of indicators about transactional leadership. Ideally in transactional leadership, you're getting things done, right?
You are.
Right. So it's, I give you this, you give me this, X. I give you Y, you give me back, right? And so we're getting things done because we're boom, 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 right? We're going back and forth. The other aspect of transactional leadership is that it's easier. Right? It's much easier than anything in the sense of it doesn't take anything above and beyond skill.
Right.
So what does that mean, right? It means my knowledge of, or my competency of whatever we are doing, that's all that's really required, right? For transactional leadership to really be successful, right? And to that degree, I don't need my heart involved. I don't need my wellness involved. I don't need being present and conscious, because my competency and my skill is just taking over. I believe that there's a long history of us training each other in transactional leadership, because businesses, basically, the fundamental identity of business is to get blank done, right? To get it done. Like, get it done. And
to get the numbers, to bring in the numbers, to do,
and to get it done basically indicates that we need transactional, right? Leadership to occur on a high level. The fallacy in that whole scenario, though, is that we're not dealing with widgets, we're dealing with people.
Right. It's the power. We think that there's power in just production, but it's not. You burn people out. Like, eventually, like, it's like, if I keep putting gas in your tank, you'll keep driving, you'll keep going, and it's not sustainable to a sense. And at some point, you start to have high turnover. You start to hear people say, I think I'm ready to do something else.
But listen, you go to the best business schools in the world. They're not teaching hard work. You go to the
They're not teaching hard work.
best leadership schools in the world. They're not teaching hard work. Hell, listen, I'm a part of a great leadership school. We don't talk about hard work. So I talk about hard work. My school doesn't talk about hard work. We talk about theory. We talk about fundamentals. We talk about frameworks. We talk about ethics. We talk about a lot of stuff when it comes to leadership, but we don't talk about heart. And what's very interesting in all of this is that, again, at the end of the day, when you want the widget to be made, when you want the transaction to be completed, those things are done through the act of a human person.
Right.
Who has feelings, who has a heart, who has bills, who has a family, who has tragedy, who has trauma, who has psychological, all those things that come under the auspices of hard work. That's what this person, an individual, has. Yet, none of these things are the things that we actually train, teach, coach when we are educating people to take on these roles and these responsibilities. It's the biggest irony that we've seen yet.
It's as Rick Warren says, it's manipulation in a sense, like you're saying, and it's not sustainable. Like that's it. Like it's not because if you can't activate the heart and your heart or other people's hearts when there isn't a tragedy, you ain't gonna be able to do it when there is a tragedy. I mean,
listen, that Rick Warren quote is the best quote ever. Yes. As it relates to leadership, that Rick Warren quote is the best quote I've ever read and will ever read.
It's the truest. It's the truest. Like,
it's
if it's not love, then what is it? Like, it's manipulation. Now you're bargaining for people to step out of their suffering. You're bargaining for people to hearts at home when they like you're bargaining. That's manipulate, like you're manipulating the process. And so if you can't love people into bring it, like by bringing them their best. Oh God, listen, y'all, we have a whole lot of stuff coming down the pipes to help you to see exactly why it is essential that you work that you build your life, so that you can lead well, that you live well so you can lead well, that you activate your heart so you can activate the hearts of others. There's so much power in it. You have no idea. We're not trying to sell you on this. We're trying to just get you to realize what is. It is the power of leadership. The heart is the power and the center of leadership. It is the central nervous system of any organization. The heart is.
Yeah, I mean, I want people to realize Rick Warren said the first job of leadership is to love people. First job. The first job of leadership is to love. I mean, every time we say that in audiences, it's like a gasp in the room.
Yeah.
But the second line is where they really gasp. Leadership without love is manipulation. That's when everybody just falls on the floor.
Yeah.
And the reason why they fall on the floor is because either they have been the culprit or the victim.
Right.
But either way, if you're the culprit or the victim, you both know it's true.
You both know it's true.
And that's what we have in common. And that's why people fall on the floor when they hear it.
Which is why you're sitting in the audience.
Exactly.
Look, which is why you're actually sitting in the audience. You're one of those two people. That's right. Which is why you are sitting in the audience. You are one of those two people.
I know.
So I'm telling
My
you,
dog
listen,
Mars.
so you don't listen. And this is my home. This is our homework for y'all this week. Lynn, can I give homework? Because I want to give homework. I
Don't
want
give
you
up
to
on
ask yourself, if you struggle with the thought of loving people, we ain't talking about hugging people when they come through the door and kissing them on the lips. We're talking about if you struggle with the thought of loving people, or the people that come to work every single day to serve you and your company and the people that come to you. If you struggle with that, I want you to just ask yourself why.
Yeah.
Because that's the beginning of the heart work for you. Living well, that starts the whole process. Living well so you can lead well. If you don't know, if you're not living well, it's kind of difficult for you to go to work and lead well. There is a direct connection between the two. Direct connection. If you have a hard time loving people, you might want to just say, why do I have a hard time loving people, caring about them, asking them what's wrong, and offering support when they need it? We're not telling you to sell your 2 kids to them. We're telling you to just give what you can, to give what you have, because there's always enough to go around. That's all we're saying.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that shout, Jamila. Yeah, definitely check out the website if you can. And
Oh,
I listen. You know,
yeah.
our first book, Hard Work. Somebody asked me the other day,
Thank
like,
you.
what made me write the first book? And I tell them, I wrote the first book because I had asked myself those questions. Why is it so difficult for me to turn off the transactional? Why is
Yes.
it so difficult for me to be present with people? Why is it so difficult for me to actually acknowledge pain and suffering in others?
Passionate.
Why am I so hell bent on success, right? To the detriment of the person's development. And it wasn't that I didn't care about people. It wasn't that. It was because I had stuff in my own background and my own experience that I hadn't dealt with, and it was holding me hostage.
Mm-hmm.
And what's happening with so many leaders, what's happening with so many leaders
Hey,
is
Jessica.
that we're being held hostage in a place that we haven't even acknowledged exists.
Right.
And
Right.
we're taking out our frustration on where we are being held hostage. We're taking it out on everybody else that's around us. We're taking it out on our family.
Mm-hmm.
We're taking it out on our friends.
Mm-hmm.
But worst, we're taking it out on the people that we work with.
We
We're
walk
taking,
in every single day, disconnecting them from who we are intuitively.
we're taking it out on people who sign up to get paid for a service.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, we are manipulating the hell out of someone. We are
Mm-hmm.
basically forcing them to experience a traumatic experience because we have the power to do so. Because
Mm-hmm.
we got stuff that we haven't dealt with, and we're unleashing it on them in two ways:
Mm-hmm.
through their pocketbook and
Mm-hmm.
through their lived experience.
Amen.
Both in which we are being irresponsible in that manner and in that role. Leaders, I'm talking to you. If that's you,
Mm-hmm.
it's time to check yourself.
Yep.
It's time to stop unleashing your stuff on your team, because that's not what they're there for.
Because
No.
I guarantee you, Glenn, I guarantee you that they're either saying one or two things. Either you do this or you lose your job, or if you do this, then you get to keep your job. Either way, that's not hard. Like
Hey,
you gotta see people. We spend so much money on recruiting talent and bringing people into our organizations that are just amazing talent, that are gifted people, that are amazing folk. And then we bring them into our organizations and we unleash, as Glenn said, the
Repeat it again.
Titans on them. We clash the Titans on them because we're in pain, because we're hurting, and it's not fair, and it's not gonna work. It's not sustainable. It's not going to give you it's not going to give you an innovative environment in which people love each other and support each other, and that you get, and it's not going to make for a productive environment at some point.
Yeah, each one teach one. Jamila's talking about relationships, the power of relationships. I mean,
Oh
look,
yeah.
I mean,
Oh
I've been in organizations as few as 2 people,
yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
I've been in organizations as many as 20,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
There's no difference when you talk about relationship building.
No.
The only thing that you would see a difference is the extent. So the very top might not know the very bottom, but that's okay. When we talk about a healthy culture, it's the culture
Right.
that actually it allows for us to exhibit a certain type of relationship.
Right.
Meaning, if we understand what love looks like in an organization, ask yourself, what does
Mm-hmm.
love look like in my organization?
Right.
Because love is not about the love of, we hang out and have drinks and we hang out all the time and we're best friends. That's not the type of love we're talking about.
Yep, it does, Morris.
What does the love look like in the culture that we create, the policies that we enact and we adhere to, the type of things that allow for people to come as they are, yet grow, evolve. Love in an organization looks like, how do we give people give them advice, give them feedback, give them support. That's how we should be asking ourselves or looking at what love looks like in an organization.
May I add this? Love, and even when you say that, it's about how we also evaluate their progress. It's how we evaluate their progress and the culture that goes along with evaluation. Look, if you got a group of folks in your organization and when evaluation time comes around, they are petrified. You must evaluate your evaluation system, because that means that this is not going to influence excellence. You can't put the fear of God in people to get them to work harder or to do things or to do more. You've got to find and figure out how you can get people. You ain't got to figure it out. Listen, you've got to love people into giving the organizations what the organization needs and more. You got to love them into that. You cannot convincing. You don't have to work so hard if you just remain human as a leader. You don't have to work so hard.
I'm about to tell you the first step that leaders can take. I want leaders to be listening right now. How do, when the question is,
pencil and paper out, Dr. Glenn.
The question that Mila asked earlier was, how can we get organizations and leaders to shift their mindset? I'm gonna tell you something, and it's the secret that we won't that we haven't mentioned tonight. Listen, here's the answer. Listen, folks, you got to love yourself first and foremost.
Woo!
You see, what I didn't realize what was happening, how I was showing up on my job, thinking I was doing something, thinking I was the bad man on campus. I was thinking I was moving the needle. Right. But what was really happening was I wasn't loving myself to the point that when I showed up, I could love others. Look, there's no love that you can show, demonstrate, give. You can't give what you don't give yourself and what you don't have. Right. I need leaders to begin to love themselves more. I need leaders to begin to forgive themselves more. I need leaders to give themselves grace. Because if you can give yourself grace, if you can forgive yourself, if you can love yourself, then and only then, and you can in turn give those same things to someone else. You can be compassionate. You can be empathetic. You can be loving. But if you are not those things to yourself, if you don't wake up every single day and say, I love myself, I give myself grace, I forgive myself for the things that I went astray on, but I know today is a new day. If you can do that, then you can show up for the people that look to you. And this isn't only on your job. This is also in your household.
Morris,
this is also in your community.
Listen, I was about to say, parents, are you listening?
Come on now.
As an educator, I am telling you now, parents, are you listening? I am telling you, Morris has said, whoever Morris Singletary
That's my dude. That's my dude.
Oh my God, Morris, I love it. Morris, I love it. Morris said earlier on in this discussion that he learned how to lead by his mama. He learned leadership with love is from his mama. I was listening to Denzel the other day. There's a thing where he talks about being overwhelmed by the Holy Ghost. But anyway, y'all, that's not the part that I'm talking about. It was where he talks about his father. And Denzel talks about how his father was a gentleman and how his father said everything in kindness and everything in a gentle way. And I remember listening to that, and I just saw Morris say that, and I'm saying, parents, I'm talking to myself. I am talking to myself as I'm saying this, that most of the time when I snap off at my son, it is because I'm frustrated with myself. It is because I've done something for myself, to myself, that I am now taking out on him and my husband. And so this is something that as parents we have got to realize, because remember, as Morris said earlier on in this discussion, he learned that type of leadership from his mama.
Yeah.
Guys, remember, you are raising leaders.
Yeah.
From whom?
Yeah. What's happening is when we are working with our clients, and we're working with middle-level, senior level managers and leaders, what's happening is they've been under development for however many years they've been living.
If you're 55, you've been under development for
55 years.
56 years, because then even in the womb.
So people say, oh, I've never had leadership development training. Well, yeah, you have.
Yeah, everyone you have. Has. Well,
everyone has. Now, you may not have had paid leadership development training, but you've had the leadership development training. Yes. Your lived experience, the way your parents disciplined you, the way you were raised in the church or not the church or whatever your community, the way your friends, you interacted with friends as you grew up and grew older, you were in social groups and clubs and what have you. You've been developed.
Yes.
And so when we enter a room with leaders and we bring forth this notion, this idea, this crazy idea that love is the first job of leadership.
Yes.
We should ask the question, why is it so difficult to really receive that notion? It's not because it's not because it's super outlandish.
Right.
It's because over however many years of development, love was not at the core of that experience. And when I say it wasn't at the core, meaning the person may have loved us, but it was not at the core. It was not rooted. Because if it were rooted in it, if we look back, things would have been a little bit different.
Amen.
Right?
Amen.
I had an exchange on Facebook about somebody put on there about whippings.
I know.
About whipping kids.
Whoa.
So let's get to it. We're gonna go off script a little bit. I was whipped. Okay. We're gonna go out.
Look, 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 look at that.
No, Miss
I need
Sandra.
y'all to know that that's my mama.
No technical difficulties.
We got technical difficulties.
No. We about to talk about it. So listen, your choice is your choice as a parent. I'm not gonna go there with you. But this is what I'm gonna say.
Mama talking about lag. Look. Oh,
and Jamila, we gotta get those books to you, Jamila. They actually ready. I'm gonna get on Jen about it too. But this is what I'll say about this. We need to ask ourselves as humans. As humans, why do we think it's okay to be other humans? I just want to. Why do we think it's okay?
It's generational.
And listen, we've done it before. We don't do it now. But why is it okay not only to be the human, but to be a human that actually has not fully developed mentally? I want parents and non-parents, won't care. I want us to think about that. I want us to think about why that's okay. Because the reason why that's a big question in the context just on parenting alone, it's a big question. But if you intersect it with our thinking about how we lead, understand where I'm going. In the context of parenting, it's a big question in and of itself. But then those same people who whip kids, the same people who lead adults. What's the intersection of power? The intersection of me. It's about me, right? If I don't get what I need, I'm going to exact something on you. Because I'm sure some of these leaders, if they could at work, they would probably whip their teammates. Right? It was okay, right? And so I think in just that conversation, that dialogue, it says a mouthful. It pushes you. It should push us into uncomfortable space about why we feel that it's okay to be the child. And then turn around and go try and lead an adult. Because
wait a minute. I got a bigger one. To be the child and then want to go to work and expect grace from the leaders that they have. And then want grace, don't want to be beat down mentally by the people who lead us in our jobs. We want grace when we make mistakes and errors. We want to be have compassion when we're suffering on the inside and don't know how to express ourselves or are afraid to express ourselves at work. So we want compassion. So yeah. And so we go to we want grace in one space, but we don't exact it in the space where the person needs us the most. I'm speaking to myself.
Yeah. We are super punitive, super manipulative, and we are full of violence. Look, Brother David Reynolds Stas talks about why violence and aggression cannot exist with gratitude. Listen to me. When we talk about how we show up in the workplace. We show up in
Mm-hmm.
our homes, in our communities.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He talks about specifically that if we're able to understand how we can start every single moment, every single day with a heart of gratitude, how we can live in a state of gratefulness, that
Mm-hmm.
in that state, it's impossible to be violent. It's impossible.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
impossible. How can
Mm-hmm.
one be violent if one has just affirmed that they are literally grateful for the breath in their lungs, for the life that they have, that they can lead, that they have another opportunity to be in this space of the living?
Yep.
How then can you be violent? You
Right.
have no room for violence.
Right.
Ultimately, how can you then oppress? How can
Mm-hmm.
you be a leader that can literally demonstrate anger and viciousness and oppression towards those who you serve, because leaders are servants, those who
Yes.
you serve? The reality is that we choose to show up in a state of violence and oppression. We choose to show up in a state in which is the easiest route of the outcome, towards the outcome.
And what it really is just what it is it's a reaction to our anger that causes us to lash out.
We have to
To
ask ourselves questions.
mm-hmm.
Hard work is about questions, not answers.
Exactly.
That's why hard work is so deep for people. It's
Mm-hmm.
so standoffish for folks
Mm-hmm.
because it's not about giving you an answer.
Mm-mm.
It's
Mm-mm.
about you asking yourself a question.
Exactly.
What I always say, whatever goes right is your team's success, but whatever goes wrong is always on you as a leader.
Yep.
It always comes back to you. It always comes back to you.
It
And
always.
if we can begin to understand that the failed relationships, that's about you. That the
Mm-hmm.
failed business, that's about you. Well, Glenn, what does that mean? That means that the other person is not culpable or responsible. No, 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 no. We're not talking about them.
Mm-mm.
We got to get away from this. We're not talking about their part. Their part is their part. But whatever happened in this relationship, it happened with you.
It happened with you.
It's on you. Just like their part is on them. We have to come to grips with that.
Mm-hmm.
I hope pastors get this book. That's what you talk about.
Yep. Well, that's the truth. Okay, folks, we have
All
been
right.
on for 1 hour and 8 minutes tonight,
I'm
but this
sorry.
is
I
a
can
very
talk.
deep and wonderful conversation. If you all have noticed, Glenn and I have been doing heart talks for a year now. Did you know that, Glenn? That
How
it's a year?
long?
A year. It's been a year. We started June of 2020. I'm doing our heart talks on Tuesdays. And this is now June the 8th of 2021. And so
Wow.
it's been a year now that we've been doing heart
Ooh.
talks. And listen, if you all have been listening at all, some of you are new on the scene and you're coming, and we appreciate everybody. But some of you are new and on the scene, but many of you have stuck with us. You notice that we consistently talk about gratitude. And we talk about gratitude in a place of just being gratification in life. And so I'm going to say again, and y'all know, since Glenn dropped his book August 1st of last year, I'm going to go ahead and tell you that you need to, in order to answer these questions, because we've talked about the fact that all of this is about your story. This is about your story. Hard work is about your story. How, why, how you lead, and why do you lead that way? Good, bad, or indifferent. It's not about that. It's about how and why you lead the way you lead at home and in the workplace. Even if you are, and we had a secretary say to us, "Oh, I'm just a little bit of secretary." No, 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 no. You're a leader because your face is, you're probably running the place if you're a secretary, by the way. Let me just say that. Because you basically have a leadership position. You are the first face of the customers that walk into an organization, and you are the person that everybody depends on to get things done. So let me say this. If you have not purchased Glenn's book, Hard Work, which was dropped August the 1st of last year, almost a year, and
Man.
Plant These Subs, which is amazing, both of them amazing. But if you have not gotten these two books, please get the two books. Watch sometimes if it's not affordable right now. Let me just say this is sometimes we'll drop days where we will drop the free book. Just keep watching. But definitely, if you watch us every Tuesday night, we discuss everything that is a part of our framework, and that is a part of these two books that we have. And we also have some other books that we're about to drop within the next couple of months to include our assessment profile. So if you really want to do the hard work and you want to be this, and you want to be an effective leader that loves people, that serves people, that has mass production without having to manipulate folks, then we are telling you now, watch us on Tuesday nights, purchase these two books, and get involved in the hard work. That is all you have to do. Because if you start asking the big questions of why, how, and why, then I guarantee you that that's the first step, is accepting what you do and why you do it. That's it.
Y'all better go be great. That's all I know. Y'all better go be great.
And be grateful. Start every morning.
Be grateful.
3 things that you're grateful for. Write them down. Write them plain so you can see them every day.
Y'all better go be grateful.
Grateful for breath. We love y'all, and we will see you next week, 6:30 this time, with another topic on how to live well so you can lead well. We love y'all.
Holla.
We love y'all.
Peace.